Hi guys, this is the Indian Yarnivore. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Spectrum brand of yarn from Ganga Spectrum. See, I've chosen a color that kind of reminds me of beaches. So there is these shades of brown, there's a cream, there's a light blue and a dark blue, and the color scheme somehow reminds me of a beach. What's nice about this yarn skein is that it comes with a center pull tag. So it's easy to find the center of your ball and you can just pull the yarn from there and keep working with it. Let's take a look at what the yarn label has to say about it. We can see that it is a 2-weight yarn, a fine weight. The recommended knitting needle size is 4.5 millimeters and the recommended crochet hook is 4 millimeters. When we look at the fiber that the yarn is made of, it is 100% acrylic and the MRP is 110 rupees per 100 grams of yarn, which is about 240 meters. So that comes in useful to help us plan our projects. And when we look at the care instructions, we can see that it must be washed in lukewarm water. It is an acrylic fiber, so we cannot iron it. It is recommended to dry the project flat, and the stitches can also be reshaped or your fabric can be blocked if you so wish. And this wool is made in India. Now the yarn label also tells us about the shade number, which is 814202, and the dye lot number is 01. So like I was saying, in this yarn the dye lot number will not matter too much because it is a self-striping yarn. What that means is the yarn itself comes in strips of color. So in this yarn we can see that there is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 strips of color, and I know from previously working with this yarn that these strips will be of equal lengths throughout the ball. So that pattern just keeps on repeating. Now there's one thing that's very special about this yarn, and that is because of the way the colors are placed in the yarn. So they're not a random placement. Like I was telling you, the strips of color, they more or less remain stable. So I learned crochet from YouTube tutorials, so I was quite taken up with the idea of planned pooling projects. So when I saw this yarn, I was of the impression that because of the self-striping pattern and because they are repeating, it is a repeating stripes, I can try planned pooling project with this. So I'm going to insert a picture of the blanket that I tried to make. It did end up pooling, and that's one of the good things about this yarn. But now if you're using a 2-weight yarn for a blanket, it's going to take you quite some time. So as I was just beginning out, I wasn't aware, or I didn't really know how to choose my yarns well. So what happened was that it took a long time to complete the project, and the stripes, if you notice, like let us say this is one fragment, so within this stripe you're going to get more than 40 to 42 stitches of depending on the type of stitch that you use. So your length of color block is also going to be pretty long. Now I'll be able to show you that in my finished project. This is a project that I managed to finish with this Spectrum yarn. So what I meant to say was, if you look at this, you can see that this entire stripe, so this will take you about 40 to 42 stitches, and that's almost the same for most of the colors. If you look at this pink stripe here, it goes on for quite some time. So the problem with that is you're going to need quite a length of the project if you're going to see this sort of pooling effect of colors. So I know it's difficult to make out, but I'll also put in a picture so that you can see how the yarn color pools. So you can see the stripes going. So although it was a fun thing to do and I did learn about the technique and about using the yarns, I think in future I would go for yarns which have shorter stripes. so that the patterns are a little easier to see, and it's a bit more fun. Now this blanket that I have made, it's maybe about a year and a half old, so it's been through at least 15 washes, and you can see that there's not a lot of pilling. There is a bit of pilling, there is a bit of fiber, but I don't really mind that because this is a blanket that I use at home for myself. So this little bit of pilling really doesn't bother me at all, and it's very soft. So also because I just use simple double crochets for this project, it's very soft and it's very drapey, and I just added this white border to it just to complete off my project. But it's a very soft blanket, it's very comfortable, and I use it as my AC blanket, and it's a very soft yarn, and the colors are also quite beautiful. Now once I got to know a little more about crochet and I started watching more and more videos, I came across videos that taught how to convert your fine weight yarn into a thicker yarn. So I just tried that with this colorway. I didn't really make up a project, but as you can see, I'm not holding yarn from two balls combined. This is just one single strand of yarn coming from one ball, and there is a way of holding the yarn in which you can actually end up with 3 strands of yarn being crocheted together. You can see that in this stitch, right? So it is 3 strands of yarn being crocheted together. Now this gives me let me say exactly the effect that I want. So I have shorter color bursts, and that helps me to get a pattern that's a bit more noticeable, as well as now this thickness of yarn will make your blanket go really fast compared to working up fine yarn as a blanket, which is what I did previously. To conclude my thoughts on this yarn, I think it's a very nice yarn. It would make lovely scarves and wearables, and if you want to make larger projects like blankets, you can still do it. You can look up the videos on YouTube that show you how to, or maybe I will be talking about that in a future tutorial. The colors are really interesting. You can get this fantastic pooling effect if you know how to plan a pooling project, and it's a very sturdy yarn. As I said, the pilling is very minimal and it's extremely soft and comfortable. So I think investing 100 rupees or 110 rupees in 100 grams of this yarn is well worth it. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed today's review. Bye.